When it comes to the Wii U, I think it's safe to say that my favourite title on it was Splatoon, Nintendo's online shooter that released in May 2015, a colourful and charming game that, while flawed mechanically and containing a content drip feed that many people weren't a fan of, is easily my overall favourite Nintendo IP when it comes to art and design, and was one of my favourite games of 2015. I consider Splatoon as my entry title of its genre, as from there I started getting more into PC gaming, made some Discord friends, and I'm now playing online shooters frequently, primarily the usual suspects Team Fortress 2 and Overwatch. I even got back into the PC rhythm game OS, as I feel its demanding difficulty has really helped my aim and warms me up before playing anything else. But today, I'm not doing a traditional switching on the projector for Splatoon. Due to the upcoming release of the game's sequel, I wanted to take a more rambly essay approach to Splatoon's mechanics, how it fares in comparison to other shooters, and what the sequel should do to improve. Because trust me, as much as I adore Splatoon, there is an unbelievable amount of room for improvement. So with that, welcome to my new series Guru's Corner, a looser, more essay-styled show format where rather than reviewing an entire game, I give my thoughts on a primary subject, such as gameplay mechanics, events in the industry, upcoming releases, and what have you, where today we discuss Splatoon and competitive shooters. Just need to fetch my Uncle Dane beard and we'll be ready to go. I started racking my brain on this subject when rewatching the announcement trailer of the Nintendo Switch, aka the Nvidia shield that plays voice, where the end of the trailer showed two groups of people playing Splatoon. What was apparent about this scene was the two groups being competitive teams, packed with the uniform, the very unhelpful map notes, and playing in a packed stadium. We're not exactly beating around the bush here. Splatoon 1 garnered an immense following because, of course it did, it's bloody Nintendo. And so one of their priorities with Splatoon 2 is for the game to be in a competitive limelight. I felt this revelation needed clearing up, as if I went any further from here, someone would tell me that because Nintendo are in their own self-contained bubble of doing what they like, that following conventions of other shooters is not their priority. So how is this going to work? Throughout this, I'm going to be highlighting areas of Splatoon that held back a lot of its potential, and how other shooters and even other Nintendo games work around these issues. The very first thing I want to touch on is game modes, mapping, and map rotations. If you've played Splatoon or seen a handful of reviews on it, you know the common complaint is the game's quite unorthodox way of handling maps. The game has two modes: regular matches, where you play the game mode Turf War and grind for XP, and ranked matches where you play the more unconventional modes. There's Splat Zones, which is kinda like King of the Hill, Tower Control, which is kinda like a payload tug of war, and Rainmaker, which is like capture the flag with one flag. In ranked, each win and loss has an impact on your overall rank and grade, so you can be matchmade with players of a similar skill level. Splatoon's map rotation only lets you play 2 regular maps, 2 ranked maps, and 1 ranked game mode at any one time, and the rotation swaps every 4 hours internationally. Now hear me out when I say that the execution of the rotation system was god-awful, but the concept here works, and I'm sort of glad that it's being kept in Splatoon 2. How I would have personally wanted this rotation to work is to first and foremost be taken out of regular matches entirely and just be a ranked thing. As an inoffensive match type that doesn't affect statistics, Nintendo may as well allow regular match players to play all the maps at once so the experience feels more free and less repetitive, and if they're feeling generous, perhaps a map voting system like in online Mario Kart, or specifying certain maps to be match-made to, or like to Team Fortress 2's casual mode. However, in ranked matches, while only playing 2 maps and 1 game mode is extremely limited, the rotation itself in ranked works in Splatoon's favour, by giving players a more tactical edge and encouraging them to plan ahead. Picture this scenario: a team of 4 friends matchmake into a tower control rotation consisting of Flounder Heights and Moray Towers, 2 maps that have an emphasis on verticality and a game mode that encourages defending a moving objective. Because of this, the team conduct their team composition to use the sniper-esque charger weapons to take advantage of sightlines and defend the tower, and if the team has a roller main, they will be encouraged to swap to something more agile, such as a shooter or a brush, to reach their full potential with the layout of both the map and the game mode. This is also an effective level of planning when it comes to abilities as well. For example, if the rotation is set to Mahi Mahi Resort, a map with lots of difficult jumps, grates you can fall through as a squid, and water that kills, you'll most likely want to swap off any weapons that use a Kraken, as you won't be able to use it as effectively. Another version of a map rotation would be a fixed rotation of maps that rarely or never change during ranked play, and consist of maps that are more competitively viable and balanced. Examples of this would be For Glory mode in Smash 4 only allowing Omega stages, or Team Fortress 2's competitive mode only having a select few of maps that are available in casual, such as Badwater Basin, Foundry, Gorge, etc. One small workaround in Splatoon 1 was the appearance of what I call ranked obstacles, walls and shortcuts that only appear on the map's ranked form due to the more urgent pace of the game modes. It's because of this that I feel Splatoon 1 would benefit from banning certain maps to only be played in Turf War, as they just don't work for any other mode. Map examples include the previously mentioned Mahi Mahi Resort because of its environmental hazards, and Museum d'Alfonsino because of its rotating walls, while examples of simplistic and potentially balanced maps would be Urchin Underpass, Walleye Warehouse, and Port Mackerel. I mean, sure, every map in Splatoon is exactly mirrored, but map design is far more complicated than that, keeping factors in mind such as ease of maneuverability, sniper sightlines, hazards, and so on, so I believe only a few should be considered for competitive play. So should the map rotation stay in Splatoon 2? Yes, but only in ranked mode where it truly matters. It should be implemented in a way so that it doesn't make the experience more repetitive for casual users, but it still gives competitive users a more balanced experience that allows them to plan ahead. Rolling back over to team composition, I believe Splatoon 2 would benefit greatly from being able to change your weapon mid-match. In Splatoon 1, your only opportunity to change your weapon is on the menu before you look for a match. This means if you ever wish to switch weapons, you need to leave matchmaking entirely to return to the menu. The common request from players was to have the ability to change your weapon when finding a match to keep a consistent flow when jumping between games, which was added in for squad matches in ranked, but not added in regular for some reason. But taking it a step further, I believe that changing a weapon during the match while everyone else is still playing can open up another dynamic of competitive strategy. The first benefit from this is that it simply improves the quality of life for not only competitive but casual matches as well, as picking a weapon in hindsight so that you and your team are varied in firepower can lead to an overall better turnout for the match. Seriously, how many times have you gone into matchmaking as a charger only to then be paired with a team of one roller and two other chargers? That just isn't going to be fun when you're against a far more balanced enemy team. As for competitive ranked play, in other shooters being able to change a weapon or character is an imperative part of continuous strategy. Swapping weapons this way is not just for a quality of life measure when you get shitty matches, but is a legitimate strategy for counterplay. An example would be in hero-based shooters like Overwatch. If you're playing a fast yet squishy character such as Tracer who get decimated by a sentry turret, you could counter that turret by switching to a hero with lots of health and self-preservation, such as Reinhardt or Orisa. The same principle applies in Splatoon. If you're getting constantly splattered by a shooter while you're a roller, swap to a charger to one-up them in range, and kill them, because whoever tells you kills don't matter in Splatoon is talking out of their arsehole. This even applies to abilities. If you have a brush user that's stealthing around and constantly pestering your team, you can swap to a weapon that uses an echolocator to isolate their position, and then kill them. Because whoever tells you kills don't matter in Splatoon is talking out of their arsehole. Due to not being given too much information about a match in Splatoon 1 until the match has already started, previous planning can only get you so far, and the introduction of counterplay can not only make matches more bearable to play, but it opens a new dynamic for match coordination and keeps things fresh and exciting. Imagine a competitive Splat Zones match, where one team first barrel in with rollers and brushes to cover the zone as quickly as possible. Then, whenever a teammate dies, they can swap to a shooter or charger to set up a choke point and put the zone on lockdown. They'll be able to navigate to the point quickly too, as starting the game with rollers and brushes means there's a guaranteed road of ink to swim through, and expanding from there, the enemy team would then prioritize heavy combat weapons, such as blasters and splatlings, or offensive specials such as ink strikes and krakens to get past the choke point. It generally makes matches more unpredictable, intense, and more fun to watch, which I feel is the spice of competitive play in online shooters. It's not just about brute force and good aim, but also about outsmarting your opponent with superior strategies and coordination. And lastly, how Splatoon 2 could improve on the series' competitive environment is to allow players to play under competitive game modes in an unranked environment such as regular matches. For those who don't know, ranked matches, the match type that affects statistics of players, is the only way to play Splat Zones, Tower Control, and Rainmaker. One small exception is private matches, but unless you can get 7 other people on your friends list to play with you, you aren't getting the full experience. The reason I suggest this as a feature is because I see it as an imperative way to not only practice these modes and play them freely, but it would act as a way to bridge the gap between regular and ranked matches, as such encouraging more players to play ranked. Just adding ranked match game modes into the regular match rotation would bring an unbelievable amount of benefits to players of all kinds. It lets less competitive players enjoy more variety in regular matches without worrying about their rank dropping, players who just unlocked ranked matches won't feel so intimidated by the mode being different, and most important of all, new ranked players will have an immediate idea of how the ranked game modes work in terms of rules and mechanics, as opposed to having that new ranked player that doesn't know the Rainmaker's supposed to move towards the enemy's base and not yours. To conclude on these ramblings, I still believe Nintendo have made something really special with Splatoon. It's an incredibly addictive experience, and as of writing this script, I've currently piled 115 hours into the game, reached level 34, and have a ranked battle grade of B-. When the Nintendo Switch was announced and more games were revealed, there were squeals of excitement for a lot of games, but there were only 2 games I was personally squealing over, that being Splatoon 2 and Voice's Switch port. While I should have seen this coming considering this is Nintendo, I was honestly afraid they wouldn't bother building on Splatoon Splatoon's formula later down the line, and I'm more than happy that they are. My only initial concerns for now is from friends who have played the test fire and informed me that it doesn't feel too different mechanically, minus the introduction of the dualies, but time will tell. In the meantime, I'll be here in the corner crying and wondering why Splatoon 2 will cost £50 at launch when the first game only cost £25 at launch. Like, what the shit, Nintendo? I know we love you and we like giving you money, but Jesus Christ, could you stop overcharging us on games? I mean, who the fuck would pay £50 for an HD remake of a GameCube Zelda game? You know there's an extremely large amount of us that can't be screwed to buy Tokyo Mirage Sessions as long as it's going to be full price till the end of time. Like, what the— I'll also be crying about not having a Switch. Because I don't shit gold nuggets, now do I?